Yep.
All right, so what is the Matthews House?
Okay. Well, the Matthews House works with youth and families that are working through difficulties in their life. So I founded the Matthews House in December of 2005 after doing a community assessment on needs here in Fort Collins. I have a background in high school education and coaching, coached volleyball, basketball, ran a junior Olympic volleyball club, but always had a heart for at-risk youth. So moving here in 2000, I found lots of at-risk youth on the streets, homeless, that sort of thing, and actually started taking them into my own home and helping them just access resources and that sort of thing. A good friend of mine, Sarah Mitchell, is a licensed clinical social worker, so I presented to her this plan that I had, primarily just to provide a safe haven for those that are kind of out there lonely on their own and need some help. So our first program was our youth program, and I contacted the Department of Human Services about at-risk youth, and they immediately started referring youth to our program, and we now administer their federal Chafee grant, which is for youth aging out of foster care, because that was the first group identified that weren't doing so well, because at the age of 18, some of these kids have been in custody of the state since they were like 2 years old, and then at 18, it's like, good luck. We no longer have custody of you, and so the statistics aren't very good for those youth. So primarily what we do at the Matthews House is a youth engages in our program, and we do an official intake assessment, and we look at the areas, 5 areas. They're physical and mental health, housing, are they in a safe, stable place, education needs, employment needs, and then just those life skills, interpersonal skills, those things that mom and dad teach but that these kids maybe didn't have the opportunity to learn. And so those 5 areas, we help the youth develop what we call an independent living plan. And then we incorporate a caring adult. So we do that through a community member, a non-paid staff. We do that through our experiential ed activities. We do backpacking trips, we do dance lessons, we do art, we do music, we do whatever that kid's spark is. We will find a community member to help them develop that. So the way we look at that is, when I started the Matthews House, there were a lot of mentoring programs, and then there were life skills programs. And from the research I did, it's best if a kid can get the help they need in one location. So in those 5 areas, it's kind of a core to self-sufficiency, and then you add the protective factor of relationships, and that's what keeps all the skills we're teaching them intact. So what if they know how to balance a checkbook, if they don't feel they have any value, intrinsic value, because they've been kind of thrown around in the system, and adults have not really given them much value, then they're going to sabotage, and they're going to just stay in this repetitive negative behavior patterns. So at the Matthews House, truly it is about relationships. So our 4 areas of our culture is strength-based. We don't really look at, when we look at the assessment, we don't look at where there's deficits. We really emphasize where there's strengths. Then the second thing is that it's very youth and family driven. We don't assess it and say, here you go, here's a plan, this is what's wrong with your life, and you need to do these things. We ask them, where are you at? What is your highest priority? What do we need to start working on first? The third thing is that we are very relationship focused. We have licensed clinical social workers, master level social workers, bachelor level social workers, but we don't talk about treatment plans. We talk about independent living plans. We do therapeutic services here, but we don't call them therapy. We do them through our experiential ed. We do them through taking the youth out for coffee and talking to them. And then the fourth thing is that we're very future oriented. The past serves us if we learn from it, but we don't need to focus there. And many of the youth and families we work with have been in generational poverty or had childhood maltreatment, and they're stuck. I mean, that's all they know. So we're very future oriented. We do what's called life mapping. We say, what do you want to be? Where do we need to go to start developing the education you need, or what training you need to do what you see yourself doing in the future. So as you hopefully saw when you walked in, is that it feels like a home. It doesn't feel like an agency. We started over on 726 Matthew Street, and it was a small little house in Old Town, and that was my vision, is these youth needed to walk in and feel like it was a home. Not that we were dishing out services. We were there really to interact with them relationally. So over the years, our youth program was our kind of our hallmark program, because that's what we started first. And then the department said, will you start working with families? Families who are at risk of entering into the child welfare system. And so for 4 years, we've been doing what's called family coaching. Exact same program, these 5 areas and adding relationship. And so we're working right now currently with about 50 families and about 80 youth. And then my dream was in year 3, I wanted to do some preventative services. So I wanted to put up what I was calling the big house, until my son told me that's a term for prison. And so I started calling it the bigger house. And at the bigger house, it would be where families could come, where it would be per se a one-stop shop, all consolidated services in one place. People living in poverty do not have time to go over to Blue Spruce to sign up for food stamps, and then go over here to sign up for this, and go over here to get their life skills training, and go over here to get parenting classes. If you can bring it all into one location, and you're open when it's convenient for them in the evenings and on the weekends, they're going to show up, and they're going to make progress in their goals for their future. But we make it a little hard. Many of these families have entry-level jobs. They don't have paid time off, so they lose wages to take off to go over to DHS to sign up for these programs. So the Department of Human Services, going through a paradigm shift, asked if we would be that lead agency to start what is called the Community Life Center. And that opened up last month. And starting January 7th, we will be open 9 to 9, Monday through Fridays, and 10 to 5 on Saturdays, and 1 to 5 on Sundays. We had a big opening event the Friday before Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving dinner, and we had 300 people show up. We were also able to allow those folks to take home boxes of groceries, because we were the first week at Whole Foods Give and Grab, and our local community donated $24,000 worth of whole food for us to distribute to these families. So primarily, we're not your normal run-of-the-mill nonprofit that dishes out services. We are really more about relationships and helping move these folks into self-sufficiency. And we like to refer to our program participants as coming full circle. We now have one of our youth that came to us at 17, she's now 22, and she's leading our moms group. She wanted to give back. We actually have a youth that came to us at 17 who is now 22 that is on our board of directors. So we want families to understand that we're not the haves and they're the have-nots. We're all in this walk in life together, and we need to help each other. So that's a little bit about our culture and what we do.
Yeah, that's impressive. So how are you guys connected with the Festival of Lights, and how does that, what they do, benefit what you guys are doing here?
We collaborate extensively, and our volunteers come from a lot of different walks in life, and one of those is the faith-based community. We have several churches that do so much for us. In fact, our Thanksgiving dinner for those 300 people cost us $0. That was all donated by City Point Church, by several other churches. So Life Point Church, they have done a lot for us, and they said we're going to have this Festival of Lights, a Christmas concert, and I think they're charging $5 a ticket, and they're doing it 3 nights in a row, and they want to give all the proceeds to the Matthews House, because they have seen how we are affecting the lives of youth and families in our community. So we're very pleased to be the recipient of that. And we will be there just to do a 5-minute overview at the end of the concert to let people know what the Matthews House is about, for those that don't know about us.
All 3 nights?
Yeah, all
Oh,
3
nice.
nights we'll have a representative. Our associate director goes one night, I go one night, and then our development director is going the other night. Yeah.
Are they expecting like a big turnout? Has word gotten around pretty well? Are you guys all everyone excited for it?
I think so. My understanding was last year they sold out. They have the smaller performance area at the Lincoln Center, and to tell you the truth, I don't know how many that holds, but I know last year they sold out. So I think they raised about $2,000 for us last year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is there a spot that people can help, like to donate, like online or send checks or something like that? Is like way people can help?
Yeah, on our website there is a Donate Now button. We also love volunteers, so you can donate financially, you can volunteer your time, you can do both of those. The success of our program is our volunteers. And the reason I know that is that one of our youth asked me how much we paid his mentor. And I said, well, we don't pay your mentor, those are volunteers from the community. And he said, come on, Jerry. He took me fishing for 4 hours and bought me lunch. You have to be paying him something. And it never dawned on me. I have never in my life had to pay for him to go do something for me, but this kid had been in foster care all of his life. And I'm not saying that foster parents shouldn't be paid. And caseworkers, they should be paid. But he had never had anyone in his life that really spent time with him that wasn't being paid. So his therapist, his caseworker, his foster parents, and again, they should be paid. But not to have anyone in your life that would just show up and take you fishing, so I knew then the importance to our youth and to our families when they see that, wow, maybe I am of value. Someone wanted to spend some time with me. And we really saw that Friday night at our Thanksgiving dinner. I was amazed. I was in tears the whole night, but there were families that were just saying, thank you so much, and can we come volunteer here at your community life center? They want to give back too. So to me, the success of our program is really our community members. Like I said, we have a good balance. We have to have professional staff. We have a lot of reporting to do to the state, to the county. And so we have to have professional staff to do that, but without the community members, we would not be making an impact in these folks' lives. So,
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
all right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet.
It's really, really awesome.